This time on BC Wild, we're headed into the mountains of Region 7 in search of mountain goats. This is a draw unit, and I was lucky enough to pull a tag for the second time in 3 years. It's early September and the seasons have begun to change. Fall is in the air, and hunting season has finally begun. Together, my friends and I are in search of wild food from some of the wildest places BC has to offer. From the Southern Rockies to the Yukon border, on land or underwater, we're always in search of the next big adventure in an attempt to fill our freezers, connect with nature, and learn what it takes to live off the land. Welcome to BC Wild.
First day of our goat hunt. Got in here decently late last night. Got to look around a little before it got dark, but just set up a quick little truck camp here. Stayed here last night, gonna stay here tonight. Clayton will be here in the morning, and we're gonna hike up this drainage. So season doesn't actually start till tomorrow. Just spend the day kind of glassing, do some short hikes, just kind of see how far up into the drainage I can see. It's a big alpine drainage surrounded by cliffs. It looks really good on maps. From what I can see just from here, it looks really promising. We've hunted this area before, but not this exact drainage. We were just a little bit further down the road. This is a draw unit. Pull tag this year. I pulled tag 2 years ago for that mountain kind of back behind me here. Was able to kill a nice billy up there, but we changed the codes on us this year. And I always use the same codes, and I didn't realize it changed by number this year, so I ended up 1 unit further down the road, but it's okay. It's looking like really good country, and always fun kind of exploring some new country. There's a nice lake that we're going to camp on up here. Should be able to do some fishing and do most of our glassing right from camp, so hopefully we can find some goats, and should be a good trip.
I spend the day hiking my way up to the drainage and making sure it's traversable, all while looking for goats. I head back to camp and enjoy one last real dinner and a fire while watching a thunderstorm over the mountains behind me. The season begins tomorrow, and from what I've seen today, my spirits are high. The next morning, Clayton arrives, and after a good breakfast, we begin the 8-kilometer hike to the alpine lake we plan on setting our camp on. After 6 grueling hours of climbing, we finally arrive at the lake and set up a quick camp before heading out to Glass for the last few hours of light. It doesn't take long to find our first goat as a nice billy feeds his way onto the ridge above camp. Although we'd watched this goat walk in a reasonable rifle range, the day was coming to an end and light was fading fast. There's no way we'll be able to find the goat before dark on a steep slope we've never set foot on. Tonight, he gets a pass. With any luck, he'll bed close overnight, and in the morning, he won't be so lucky.
Well, second day of our hunt. We climbed up into this drainage yesterday. Pretty gnarly hike, takes about 6-7 hours. Left a little later than we would have liked, so got up, sent a camp, had about an hour and a half to Glass, and we found a goat. Appears to be a good billy. We put him to bed last night. He was actually coming right down to us. Got up this morning and spotted him basically right where we left him. Pretty certain it's a good billy too. So finally get up in the zone, knowing that he's in that area somewhere, and just work it slowly and try and find him back. He disappeared over on the north face of the slope. It's been pretty odd during the day, so my guess is that he's hanging out on that slope somewhere during the day. So even if we don't find him back, I think there's a good chance he'll cross back over to here tonight. He's actually still right on the top here. And there he goes, but there's a patch of timber there. So again, with the heat and how hot it's been during the day, I think there's a good chance that he's bedding in that. Do you think we ought to get going here, though? Where he is right now, like, he couldn't ask for better spot to take him out and go to. Most of the time you find him, you can't even get to him. It's definitely long. He's got a lot of billy characteristics. Looks like a good goat too. He's quite a bit longer than his ears, so. Spend all year looking at maps and planning on hunts, and there's so many variables. Can you actually, is the hike doable, and will there actually be animals in here? It's nice when the plan starts to come together.
After watching the goat disappear for a second time over the ridge, we decide to hold tight a little longer and devise a plan to get into his zone without blowing him out. Luckily for us, we spot the goat again as he heads up into the cliffs and beds down for the morning. We begin our nearly 1,500 foot climb into his zone and try to relocate him. After finding him back, the goat decides to cross back over onto the north slope. In hopes that he bedded down just on the other side in the shade, we circle around the bottom of the cliff face and cut the distance to put ourselves in position for a shot.
Climbed about 1,500 feet. We're up where the goat was last.
After sitting in the screaming wind for nearly 2 hours and no sign of the goat, we decide to slip back down the ridge to where we can keep tabs on where we'd last seen the billy but start glassing more country. We glass for a few hours and see nothing when suddenly the billy reappears exactly where we'd watched him cross over the mountain. What felt like a good spot to hunker from the wind has just become a trap. We're pinned and can't move. We watch the goat work its way down the mountain from 1,000 yards to just under 400, and although this is doable rifle range, we're not certain we'll be able to recover him with a small set of cliffs between us. And we're even more certain we won't be able to make it to him before dark. As the sun drops behind the mountains, we make the hard choice to leave the goat and make the descent back to camp. Tomorrow's a new day, and we still have a lot of country to cover. The next morning, we're up early and spend our first few hours glassing from the rock. So it's the second day of our hunt. Second full day anyways. We sat on that billy last night for almost 2 hours just laying prone. He crossed over the mountain earlier, so we dropped back down, and then we were sitting there and he popped back over the top. He came down a long ways. He right from the peak to, we had him at 380 yards at one point, but not enough time to take a shot from there, just running out of light, and he was up on some cliffs we would have had to figure out how to get around, so I don't know if we would have been able to make it over to him tonight, or last night. So we ended up not taking the shot, and he ended up not coming down those cliffs. That was as far as he came down, so I think the plan again today is to make the 1,300 foot climb up onto that ridge and just sit up there and glass. We can see the whole basin from up there, and we know that billy's hanging around in there somewhere still. Doubt he made it too far overnight, so just gonna do some glassing from camp here, check up in these peaks, see if we can't see anything first before we go stomping up in there, and then we'll start our climb up and get up top and settle in for the day. Just glass everything out. We've been so concentrated on this billy for the first day and a bit that we haven't really looked anything else over yet too hard, so take the day and look back for that belly, and while we're doing that we can start checking all these other peaks. There's one goat in here, there's gotta be more. How'd you sleep?
Like a baby in a cocoon.
Yeah, I slept good.
It was actually too hot. Never.
Yeah, it didn't cool off last night like it has been.
I got like sweating. I had to like unzip my sleeping bag, and air out.
Yeah. Yeah, and I slept in my hoodie last night thinking it was going to be cold again. That was just right. At least we learned before committing to it that we don't want to carry anything. I think if we just followed the finger ridge, we'd be alright. Just follow it down to the creek and just back up the edge. Might find a spot where we can bail a little bit sooner. That or go around. Go around's really not that bad an option.
No. Easy walking.
Yeah.
Come right down that little chute there. Hit the creek, cross it, come back around. It would be crazy to think that that goat has this drainage all to itself. But if there's going to be only one goat in the drainage, I'm glad it's that goat. It's a decent billy for sure.
We see nothing and make the climb to our glassing spot on top of the ridge. We sit in the howling wind for nearly 7 hours without a single animal sighting. Another day down, one to go.
So it's our last full day to hunt. Yesterday was rather lackluster and made the climb up to the ridge, sat there for 7 hours and didn't see a single thing. Just back at our rock, down by our camp here. I think things a little slower today. I think maybe there's some different mountains we haven't looked at too hard yet, so maybe take some time to go over those and probably end up pushing up, getting up on top of that ridge again tonight just in case that billy shows back up. Surprised we haven't seen more than the 2 goats in here. There's shitloads of sign everywhere like you walk that ridge. There's lots of shit, lots of tracks. On this mountain behind me here, there's tons of goat trails that you can just see. They almost look like man-made. They're so defined. So just spend the morning looking around the bowl and doing lots of glassing, just taking our time, picking everything apart, and then probably get up on that ridge again tonight. Sit there and glassing this backside. Hopefully we haven't turned anything else up by then, that billy shows back up and we can get on top of him. Try and make this happen. A lot nicer of a day today. It's quite a bit cooler this morning. Not nearly as much smoke. Yesterday it was so smoky you could barely see the mountain behind us. Fire's burning down south right now, but most of that smoke seems to have moved out. It's really windy today, or has been really windy. It seems to be kind of chilling out a bit now, but basically it's a good thing because it moved this smoke out. Keeps it a little bit cooler. The goats might be willing to move around a bit more. Just spotted a goat. A long ways up there. This one's going to be hard to reach, but it's definitely a goat. I got my spotter. He's a long ways off. He's really hard to see right now. But I would think this is Billy. You see his horns from here. They look pretty big. Big Roman nose, big long face. And he's bedded already.
We make a plan for a stalk and make the 2,000-foot climb in record time. When we arrive within 400 yards of where we left him, it doesn't take long for him to reappear. Just behind that little place. Get a shot. Between the adrenaline and fatigue, I struggle to steady myself for the 325-yard shot. After a few minutes, I realize this position isn't going to work, and I move up to where I can go prone. The first shot feels perfect, and the goat reacts hit. Attempt to get two more in him and don't realize to the third shot that I'm too high. At this point, I'm still convinced the first shot was vital and he'll be piled up just over the peak. But after making the walk of shame over to him, it becomes apparent I was high on all three. Luckily, we spot the goat again and confirm it was a clean miss. It's heartbreaking. This isn't my first miss, but without a doubt, my most painful. We make the long walk back to camp, defeated and wondering how and why. Where did I go wrong? The mountains won, and as one final sign, a thunderstorm rolls through as if the mountains are trying to tell us something. The next morning we awake to more rain and begin the descent back down to the trucks, our packs much lighter than we had hoped. This isn't the outcome I had dreamt of on this hunt. We hunted hard and busted our asses for a chance on this goat, and I let us down. As we make our descent empty-handed, I reflect on my mistakes and promise myself to learn from them. This won't be our last time in these mountains, and now I have a bone to pick. There's nothing to do now but move on, learn, and look forward to the next one.